Welcome back once again to the News Media. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while investigation is still undergoing at UTUMISHI Girls High School concerning to fire tragedy that caused the death of 16 students alongside 79 being injured, we are now being informed that 10 students have been arrested concerning to that sad news at UTUMISHI Girls High School. But why not the principal? Why arresting the student but not the principal? Number 2, why is that up to now, the person who locked the doors by outside have not yet been arrested?
This is not a political rally. Mshinda hapa mkiongea maneno mingi inasaidia nini? Very wrong. Hizi maneno ya mkutano hapa. Hizi mambo ya campaign.
Arrested. Why? And yesterday, when that news at UTUMISHI Girls break, I told you very well on this platform that we need to ask ourselves these two questions. Question number 1 was that how was the security operating within UTUMISHI Girls High School? Number 2, I said here that were the door locked by outside or by inside? I asked that question here yesterday.
Those innocent students did not die because of a fire. Those innocent students died because they were locked in. They could not escape. The emergency exits were locked. All forms of, they were in prison. That's why they died. They couldn't get out of because I understand, and I could be wrong, we are waiting for the report to come out, but I understand this was not late in the night. The fire started, it's not like it was dead in the night. So I just think that until we have leadership that, first of all, is human, because I don't think these people are human. Until we have leadership that is human, that understands what Kenyans are going through, and that are able to showcase that their leadership is really about the people of Kenya. We can be talking about all sorts of things, but we will end up importing Ebola, for instance.
We're going to go to that we're going to go to that in just a minute.
Yeah.
But
why is that up to now, the person who locked the doors by outside have not yet been arrested? We want answers.
UTUMISHI Girls hao watoto walitolewa kafara. Because tell me why Ruto jana alikuwa amefurahia hivyo. Hata hakuongelea hiyo issue. Kila kitu alikuwa anasema ni double. So before aseme double na aseme hii mambo yote ya rukaruka hii yote, na amesikia kuna watoto 16 wameaga dunia. As a mother, you don't have the instincts kukuja kuambia Wakenya at least pole for what has happened. As a mother, wasichana huku wanatekwa nyara, wengine wanauliwa, watoto wanaibiwa. As a mother, huwezi tokelezea useme, oh Wakenya, look at this. I know this have been happening and this should be stopped. Alafu uweze kuambia, ka ingekuwa Mama Ruse Kibaki, hii story ingekuwa otherwise, ingekuwa tofauti.
My kicker tonight, the National Prayer Breakfast this year will go down as an unmitigated moral disaster. Ostensibly brought together by well-meaning religious intentions, political leaders proceeded this morning as if nothing happened. This, hours after they all knew of a school dormitory fire that had killed more than 10 girls, 16 precisely. The so-called prayers made no mention of the incident, its victims, or even the distressed families that were still making their way to Gilgil. I watched in utter shock and horror as speaker after speaker went on about their prayer breakfast business, making no mention of the Gilgil tragedy. So much for a prayer gathering. I hope this is not too harsh. This was Kenya's most heartless gatherings in recent times. This gathering simply lacked humanity. This prayer breakfast failed the most basic human test of empathy, that basic instinct of one human being feeling the pain of another. Those were heartless people, all of them. They did not care about the feelings of the parents of 16 innocent schoolgirls lying in cold ashes in the aftermath of the dormitory fire. I presume the girls were too distant for them to relate with. They did not know who they are. Clearly, none of them was a daughter of any of them. Just some obscure girls of some distant public school. These were anonymous little souls, not big enough to interfere with a grand party and the flow of a breakfast and a prayer. I waited for any of the speakers to show just some little trace of humanity. There was nothing. And when President William Ruto finally spoke about the incident, he called it an incident, he could not even get the name of the school right. And this he did at the tail end of the function. In fact, he had finished making his long address that was more about his record in office. The UTUMISHI fire tragedy came as a near afterthought during the photography session. This was truly cold of the entire leadership that gathered for the national prayer breakfast today. Yet all the while they afforded to crack jokes about football, specifically Arsenal. The members of parliament on their part sustained the habit of making a comedy of their singing. They joked about their voices and their lack of practice, and generally about how poor some of them were in singing. They laughed about it before proceeding to leave the joke. Then there were some couple of prayers from the podium, none of them making any mention or reference to the people that really needed prayers today. And those are the parents and relatives of the UTUMISHI school girls. Again, the National Prayer Breakfast will be remembered for the spiritual disaster it was today. Tonight, critics of this annual ritual are vindicated. The National Prayer Breakfast is not about prayers. It is just another political spectacle. For a keynote speaker this year, organizers drafted in Ugandan presidential advisor Chris Rwakasisi to share his life story as an illustration of the theme of this year's prayers, which is forgiveness and reconciliation. The guest of honor, who was a former powerful security minister in President Milton Obote's government, explained how he was pardoned by President Museveni and released from prison after 24 years. Unfortunately, there were no local illustrations of forgiveness and reconciliation in a prayer that did not even have representatives from the Kenyan political opposition. All that, in my view, was nevertheless overshadowed by the callous handling of the UTUMISHI school tragedy. That was a heartless national prayer breakfast. Heartless.
Principal should answer all these questions alongside the person that was in charge, the person that is in charge of security of that school. We want answers. We want answers whereby, as we speak right now, former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko have also ordered the DCI to do speedy investigation concerning to what happened at UTUMISHI Girls High School, because that is a sad, shocking news. Yes, we want answers. We want answers, Mr. Principal or Mrs. Principal. How does the security operate in the school? Who locked the doors? And I said it here. Nilisema hapa jana that hao watu hakuna venye wange survive, because huwezi niambia mlango imefungwa na ndani na nje, then you expect these people to survive there. How did you expect them to survive? That is a question that we want to answer, that we want to answer for. The next day also I did a video here trying to explain to you that why is it that before National Prayer Breakfast in the Republic of Kenya, serious tragedy must happen. It happened in Endarasha in 2024. It has happened in a place called Charindishi or where. Before National Prayer Breakfast, things are happening in this country of Kenya that are so scary I'm just wondering. Few months ago, something happened in Kericho, where more than 33 bodies were found damned in one of the grave in Kericho. Hakuna venye tuliambia later on. What did they tell us? Hakuna. There must be something fishy that is happening in this country of Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, because it can't be that the deaths are so high. What is happening in our country? What is happening in our country? But this video is for entertainment purpose only. This video is not meant to harm or to hurt someone. So that is just a disclaimer, because YouTube might say that, oh, why are you talking about the deaths too much? No, this video is all about news, just for entertainment purpose only, to update Kenyans so that Kenyans can know what is happening in their beloved country. So hata vitu zinafanyika hapa nchini Kenya yenye hata zinashangaza tu. Beside that one, Ebola ndio hiyo. The president want to allow the US request to build Ebola quarantine center in the Republic of Kenya. Why? Even if the law allow that one to happen, but there's some of the things that we should reject. Why do you want to dump? Why William Samoto want those people to be dumped here in Kenya? Why do you want to dump Ebola in Kenya, Mr. President? Let us solve our cases first before trying to solve the cases outside the country of Kenya. You even heard yesterday, during the news gang, Linus Kaikai was recorded destroying William Samoto with facts concerning to what happened at UTUMISHI Girls High School, which is true. So please let us keep on sending our condolences to the family that have lost their beloved one at UTUMISHI Girls High School concerning to fire tragedy that happened 1 day ago that caused the death of 16 students alongside 79 being injured. Thank you so much, and may God bless you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking your time to listen to our analysis concerning to what is happening within the country of Kenya as we are approaching 2027 general election. Let us meet in the next video that is going to be uploaded shortly within no time. Remember to subscribe, comment, and like for more updates daily. See you in the next video, my great viewers. Bye-bye.